UFC welterweight prospect, Ramiz Brahimaj. Thank you for your time, man. I know you're in the midst of camp. How you feeling?
Feel great, brother. Feel great. Putting the finishing touches on the camp right now. Probably entering my last hard week of training, and then just the rest cutting weight.
All right. Now, before we get into the fight, I wanted to talk about the last year and a half, man. It's been full of unforeseen circumstances for yourself and for everybody, right? So let's talk
100%.
about the Contender Series opportunity last year. You were pulled for a tumor, right? I believe so. A
Yes,
tumor
sir.
behind
Yes,
your
sir.
eye. Talk about the surgery and what you had to go through because of that.
So yeah, I was pulled probably like a week and a half before my Contender Series fight. Whenever I had to do my MRIs and everything, they found the tumor there, and they're like last minute. They're like, "Hey, man, I was a little, I was a little worried. I was like, man, what's going on? How did you guys? What happened? What is this?" So they're like, it's just an irregular finding. It doesn't seem like nothing too big, And still in the back of my head, I'm like, man, I'm a week and a half out. What are you guys talking about? Like this is something serious. This is my health. So sure enough, I go to the neurosurgeon, neurologist, everything like that. They do tell me it's a tumor, and they're like, hey, we got to get it removed, or you can't fight. You're not going to get cleared for any future bouts, nothing like that. And just upon finding out more about it, had it ruptured in any one of my fights, I would have went blind in my left eye. So it was a big deal, man. I mean, I'm just happy that I got it done and taken care of. It was a long process of recovery, man. No contact, and I mean, it was just a lot of unfortunate stuff, but I just kept trucking.
Was your mind playing tricks on you during the recovery, man? Because like you just said, man, it was something that could have ended badly if you didn't get it removed.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when I was in the recovery process, I was just like, what can I do? What can I do? And how long until I could grapple? Or how long until I could strike? Or how long until I could do strength and conditioning? And thankfully, I would talk to the surgeon, everything like that. And I think probably about a month or 2 months after my surgery, I had started doing grappling tournaments again, and I won 3 pretty decent sized grappling tournaments over here in Texas. And then I went to California and I competed for Worlds, and I won my first world championship in California. And I mean, I just told myself, I was like, I'm not going to stay down in the dumps. I'm going to do something about this. I refuse to be defeated. I just don't believe in that.
So these grappling tournaments, they basically built your confidence up again.
100%. And like I said, I've always been confident in my skills. I've always been confident in my fighting abilities. I don't get carried away with myself. I'm not going to sit here and just talk reckless and get crazy. That's just not my stilo at all. But like I said, those grappling tournaments that I did, they did, give me a little bit more mojo. But the thing is, I just love competing. I just love getting out there and just doing stuff, so that other people can see me compete, so that I can see myself compete, so that I can compete against the best in the world. That's what I'm here to do. And, that's why I'm so happy that I got signed to the UFC.
That's crazy to me because before you even going to these grappling tournaments, you've won all your fights by submission. So you already have legit skills on the ground.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, if I could do boxing or kickboxing, I would love to. But I know it's a little bit harder now that I'm a professional and that I'm signed to the UFC. So I know we could always do. I know with the UFC, we're allowed to do grappling tournaments as they've done in the past with Quintet, and you have other guys that are in the UFC that are going out. I know like Gilbert Burns and many other guys who go out and they win major grappling tournaments, or they compete in these big IBJJF tournaments.
Then how many months after that were you allowed to actually get hit?
Man, I want to say like 5 or 6 months, just because of all the trauma that was caused to my eye, everything like that. They actually pulled the eyeball down in the socket, to remove the tumor. It was pretty gnarly. They showed me a couple pictures. I was like, whoa. Definitely, I was actually pretty happy that I was still on like anesthetics and everything. I didn't have a full stomach because I probably would have thrown up had I had a full stomach, man.
It's like some sci-fi movie or something.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It was like big time. It looked like it looked like it was being directed like by Quentin Tarantino or something.
That's true, man. And it's I guess that sucks too, because right when you're getting back to sparring, COVID hits.
Oh man, yes, 100%, 100%. And then I got I got so sick. I don't know what it was back in January, February. I was sick for almost 2 weeks, man. I'm not even kidding you. I was hospitalized because of it. And I had never, ever, ever, nothing can come to my mind when I was that sick. I mean, it was horrible. I think for like 4 or 5 days straight, I ran 102, 103 fever, man. It felt like my brains were boiling. I was just chilling in bed, and I was just like, dude, I had no energy to even get up. I mean, I was contemplating getting up just to use the restroom. I was like, do I really need to pee right now, or could I just go back to sleep, man? Hold it off a little bit longer, because I just wanted to sleep. And I mean, it was just like it's just so discomforting. Whatever I had back in February. So, yeah, it was definitely no fun.
Oh, so the hospital didn't even know that you maybe had
No,
COVID?
they told me, they said these look like flu-like symptoms, but you're not testing positive for the flu. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Oh,
Like, what
shit.
do I got? What do you mean you guys don't know?
Oh.
So it was definitely interesting. And then I ended up testing positive for COVID back in August. So,
Yeah. That's another whole story right there, man. Of
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, let's talk about that, man. You get this rescheduling to fight 1 year later to make your UFC debut, short notice, a big fight too, man.
Oh yeah.
Santos, a legit name out there, and your quarterman tests positive, and then you test positive at the same time. Is that what
No, I
happened?
tested positive later.
Oh,
So
okay.
for me, I didn't test positive until like I want to say 3 weeks after that.
Mhm.
So I didn't even test positive until like August. And I was like, what the hell? I was like, this makes no sense, because I mean, me and my cornerman, we didn't have much interaction, but we did have interaction. So it was definitely weird. I was a little paranoid, but then upon returning to Texas, I drove from Vegas to Texas because I couldn't fly, even though I didn't test positive. So the second that I flew, I drove back to Texas. I got tested, I think 3 or 4 times, all negative. And then I remember I went to go corner one of my teammates in South Dakota for LFA, and we both tested positive for COVID. So then we had to drive all the way from South Dakota back down to Texas. I drove too much, man. Too much this year. I think I've seen like almost all of America this year. Growing up, I seen like the majority of the Eastern Seaboard.
Yeah.
And I think just in the last 3-4 months, I've seen the West Coast, I've seen the Midwest, I've seen the North, everything, man. I think I'm done. I'm done driving for a while. Anything over 100 miles, miss me, man. I'm not going. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, understandably, you don't want to drive. Understandably. Now, 4 months later, now you're set to face Max Griffin, another incredible matchup too, man. Right here, man. You probably hyped for this one.
I'm so hyped. Like I said, I said it before. I'm so hyped for this fight. I was hyped for the Baiza fight. I was hyped for the Takashi Sato fight because, as I said earlier, man, I just love to compete. I love to get out there, fight, and test my armor against the best. Test my armor and my skill against the best guys in the world. And this is the premier organization that we're in. And what better way to introduce myself to the UFC and to the world than to fight these tough fights and to fight these guys that I have tons of respect for, And I know that it's not going to be a boring fight. Not on my end, not on their end. And everybody's going to be pleased at the end of the day.
Yeah, what do you think about Griffin's performances so far? He's had 9 fights in the UFC, man. And you're making a UFC debut. That's a tall task.
It is a tall task, 100%, but it's one that I welcome with open arms. It's something that I'm excited for. I have all the motivation in the world to wake up to train even harder than what I've trained ever before for this guy. And like I said, he's always in the fight. He fought one of my good teammates, Alex Morono. That was a war. I mean, dude, that guy. I don't think that guy's never not been in a war in his career. You know what I mean? Like, I think every time I think of Max Griffin, I think of a great fighter and a dude that has no quit in him. He just comes to fight. And that's what I love. That's what I love about the UFC. You have the majority of the guys on this roster. Like, whenever I hear people say, "Oh, he's scared," or "He's this," I'm like, "No way, man. These guys in the UFC, man, they're ready to fight, man. They're contrary to popular belief, aside from all the politics. At the end of the day, these guys, they're there to fight. You know, everybody gets to the UFC with one goal in mind, and that's to fight and to be the best.
That's a funny word that people throw around easily, is
Yeah,
that
man.
scared. Like, how are you scared? You're a fighter. You're going in there to beat somebody down. You know what I
Come
mean?
on, man. Like I said, that's one thing that really irks me a lot. It's listen, if I was scared, I probably would have never started fighting. If I was
Exactly.
scared, why would I be fighting in the regional scene for like $300, $400,
Yeah.
$500,
Yeah.
$1,000 max? Like, come on, man. Now I'm in the UFC finally making the big bucks, and I'm scared. You know, it doesn't make no sense, man. Like sometimes people they kill me with the way that they think. It's just it's ridiculous, man. It really is ridiculous.
You mentioned Alex Morono, man, a great guy. I love that guy, man. Love
I
talking to
love him too.
him.
He's an awesome guy,
Yeah.
man.
And great fighter. He's actually lined up to fight pretty soon.
Yeah.
Also, probably end up talking to him in the next week or so. You know, having him in camp, and he's faced Griffin, and then you have your coach who has already prepared for Griffin. You know, what kind of advantage is that for you?
I think it's a great advantage, but at the end of the day, a fight's a fight, you know. And like I said, I'm anticipating the best Max Griffin come November 7th. You know, I'm anticipating probably the best performance that he could put together. He's probably going to try to put together against me, and I know I got to stop that, and I know I got to stop him, and I know I got to go in there and you know, stake my claim, right, and take it all away from him. That's what I got to do, and I know my job, I know my task, and I respect him a lot. And it's been awesome, you know, to have Morono in the camp, and of course to have Coach Safe, who cornered and formulated a whole game plan against that guy. So all of this stuff is awesome, but at the end of the day, I know my job is November 7th, and I'm planning on executing 100%.
I know you're into zombie movies. I guess Griffin is probably the closest thing to a zombie you can face.
Yeah,
right?
right. Oh yeah. Speaking of zombie movies, man, I know I think you're in Korea right now because that's what it told me on Skype. Man, I have been addicted from the first time that I ever saw Train to Busan, and now I gotta watch that other movie that they just released.
Alive.
It's not Train to
Alive.
I think Alive, but there's another one that they released. It's before they released Train to Busan 2. It came out this year, I think in March or February. I'm not 100% sure.
I'm gonna have to check. You might have to watch that Kingdom. Have you seen that the series?
No, I haven't seen the series Kingdom yet.
Oh, that's the zombie. That's the Korean zombie, but it's like based back in like the Kingdom, you know, like the old days. You know what I mean? Like
snap!
It's on Netflix. You should be able to find it on Netflix.
On Netflix? Oh man, you gave me an idea now because I don't got much to do today. You know, honestly, I did all my hard training in the morning, so now I just have the rest of the day to myself. So I'm probably gonna go on a little bit of a binge and watch some of these movies, especially during fight week. So I always tell people, I'm like, any suggestions for books or zombie movies or any kind of crazy movies, send them my way.
Yeah, I think it's on like season 2 or 3 right now, so it'll take up some of your time, man. A lot of people ask me about it.
There we go. I love it, man. Listen, I that's like, I know somebody was asking me the other day. They're like, hey, you know, like, what's a little secret people might not know about you, man? I love Korean movies, man. I love indie movies, man. They're awesome. You know, I think the acting's even better, and they really they make those their directing and the way that they make those films come together is just phenomenal. I think way better than a lot of Hollywood movies.
Yeah, I think movies are pretty much dead now. It's like all dramas, you know what I mean? Like you got
dramas, and it's just like so boring. It's no substance, no nothing. That's why I like to watch those indie movies, man, because those people, they put their heart and soul into those movies. The Korean movies and even a lot of Russian movies, I've been watching them. I'm thinking like these movies are made in Hollywood, and then I realized no, they're not. And I'm like, oh man, this is impressive.
Yeah, I go deep into some of those like Viking series. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
man. They're pretty crazy.
They're really good. They're really good. I love those kind of movies, man. They get me hyped and they get me really amped to fight. So I love them.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you know, with what you've been through, man, the last 2 fights and not actually fighting, has that changed some of the mental approach to what you're gonna do moving forward?
In a sense of, I just want to be fluid. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, you don't know what's going to happen. Opponent changes, especially in this COVID era that we're in. That's one thing that it did teach me, is just to stay ready for anything. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you're not fighting your actual opponent until you're standing across the cage from him, and there's a middleman. The referee is right there, and he's asking you, fighter, you ready? He's asking your opponent, fighter, you ready? And then he says, let's fight. So, I mean, in that sense, absolutely. I've come to the realization that you just have to stay open-minded and just ready for any last-minute changes. So I guess in that aspect, 100%, that's something that I've changed up a lot. Instead of just solely focusing on one person, I've also come to the realization that I'm going to focus on them. But also, if something switches up last minute, I'm ready for it. And I'm not going to complain, and I'm just going to jump right in head first, and let's get after it.
8 wins, 8 submissions. Are you expecting another submission, or do you envision getting a knockout, your first knockout?
Man, if I can get my first knockout in the UFC, I'm going to be happy. But a finish, the only thing that I want November 7th is just getting that win. That's all that matters to me, man. It doesn't matter what way it comes, but I just hope it's not boring. I never want to be in a boring fight. Like I said, I'll do everything in my power to make sure it's not boring. I'll leave my heart and my soul in that cage just to make sure it's not a boring fight. But I always, 100%, I always envision myself winning, and I'm always pursuing the finish. If you watch any one of my fights, I always go after it. You know, there's never a moment in the fight where I do not think about taking my opponent out. You know what I mean? I have a very simple mindset. It's truly kill or be killed. You know, every time I go in there, I do not look at all to go to the judges' scorecards. That's just not who I am. And like I said, I just prepare this way. You know, I just love to fight, and there's no greater satisfaction for me than getting my hand raised and finishing an opponent. You know, that's just what I train to do.
One last thing, you're from New York. I always ask people from New York.
Yes, sir.
Top 5, dead or alive, man. New York.
Rappers?
Yeah. From New York.
Okay, all right. So number 1, Biggie Smalls, 100%. Number 2, I know I'm gonna catch a lot of flack for this, but I like Nas over Jay-Z, 100%. I love Nas's lyric. He's just an awesome lyricist. Number 3, I'd have to go with Mobb Deep, 100%. 4, The Locks, so Jadakiss, Styles P, and Sheek Louch. And coming in at number 5, he's been on the scene for a very long time. He's a guy that I have a ton of respect for. 100% is Dave East. He's been on the scene for a while, but he's a new rapper in terms of mainstream. You know what I mean? So I like Dave East, and I like a lot of his old mixtapes.
Yeah, Dave East. I don't really listen to newer, artists or artists that are popping up now, but I've heard of Dave East. I've heard his style is kind of the older 90s style rap that he's doing now.
I love that style. That's my favorite style, man. That's my favorite style for me.
Your list shows you love that style.
Yeah, 100%, man. I can't listen to new rap. I'm sorry. It's like we said earlier, right? I want stuff with substance. I want stuff with meaning. I want stuff where people are pouring their heart and their soul into it. That means that they respect their craft, right? So whenever I listen to lyricists, that's what I want. I want lyrics. I don't want somebody stuttering and murmuring something that I don't even understand. I don't like that kind of stuff. And I could listen to ciphers all day. That's what I love.
Yeah, man. Well, November 7th, man. Excited for you to get in that octagon for the first time. And it is going to be a war. And it is going to be an entertaining fight. The matchmakers know what they're doing with this one.
100%. Thank you, brother. I look forward to the interviews in the future.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'll be reaching out, man. And shout out to Safe, man. One of the best out there.
Oh, yeah, one of the best. Thank you, brother. Take care, brother.
Take a move in the ring. You can hit me with the words you